برای خوشنودی امام زمان بلندترین صلوات اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. بسم الله بنا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني هج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام، فإنه لا يغفرك غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للثواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أزنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وأثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وهلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الظل، وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر ولله الحمد. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله فاشف الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده الذي لا ينقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيما، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وصفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك عن قبيح عملي، وهلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطايا وأمدي، أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك، فسرت أدعوك آمنا، وأسألك مستأنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مذلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبت عني أتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبت عني هو خير لي لعلمك وبعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن لي تطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل، وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإسباد ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعدك فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا زهير يعاذده، وقهر بعزته العزة وتواضع لعظمته العظمى فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصي ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونقة قد أراني فأثني عليه هامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد السائل ولا يقيب عامله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله على والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الحاربين نكال الظالمين سريق المستسرقين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتهننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآية الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة النساء العالمين. وصل على سبط الرحمة وإمام الهدى الحسن والحسين سيد الشباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي الهججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وهفه بملائكة المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفوا في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله مكن له دينه الذي ارتزيته له أبدله من عبدك خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أزهره دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيما من الدعاء إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم اللهم امم به شعثنا واشب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به قلتنا وعزز به ذلتنا واغني به عائلنا واقض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به قلتنا. ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وأنجه به طلبتنا، وأنجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، وأعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، وأعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوصي المعطين. اشف به صدورنا، وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق، آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجل، وبضر تكشفه، ونصر تعز، وسلطان بحق تظهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم برحمتك في الصالحين فأدخلنا، وفي عليين فارفعنا، وبكأس من معين من عين سلسبيل فاسقنا، ومن الحور العين برحمتك فزوجنا، ومن الولدان المخلدون فكأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون فأخدمنا، ومن ثمار الجنة وعلوم الطير فأطعمنا، ومن ثياب السندس والحرير والاستبرخ فالبسنا، وليلة القدر حج بيتك الحرام وقتلا في سبيلك فوفق لنا، وصالح الدعاء والمسألة فاستجب لنا، وإذا جمعت الأولين والآخرين يوم القيامة فارحمنا، وبراءة من النار فاكتب لنا، وفي جهنم فلا تغلنا، وفي عذابك وهوانك فلا تبتلنا، ومن الزقوم والضريع فلا تطعمنا، ومع الشياطين فلا تجعلنا، وفي النار على وجوهنا فلا تكببنا، ومن ثياب النار وسرابيل القطران فلا تلبسنا، ومن كل سوء يا لا إله إلا أنت بحق لا إله إلا أنت، فنجنا فنجنا فنجنا. الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم وفي الأمر الحكيم من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل، أن تكببني من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم، المشكور سعيهم، المغفور ذنوبهم، المكفر عن سيئاتهم، وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وآفية، وتوسع في رزقي، وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك، ولا تستبدل بي غيري. اللهم صل اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان، أو يطلع الفجر من ليلة هذه، وليلة قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه. اللهم صل على محمد. صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إلهي وقف السائلون ببابك، ولاذ الفقراء بجنابك، ووقفت سفينة المساكين على ساحل بحر جودك وكرمك، يرجون الجواز إلى ساحة رحمتك. إلهي إن كنت لا تغفر في هذا الشهر الشريف إلا لمن أخلص لك في صيامه وقيامه، فمن للمذنب المقصرين إذا غرق في بحر ذنوبه وآثامه إلى إن كنت لا ترحم إلا المطيعين، فمن للعاسين. وإن كنت لا تقبل إلا من العاملين، فمن للمقصرين. إلهي ربح السائلون وفاز القائمون ونجا المخلصون، ونحن عبيدك المذنبون. فارحمنا برحمتك وأعتقنا من النار بعفوك يا كريم يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل على محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغني كل فقير، اللهم أشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكس كل عريان، اللهم اغزي دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشفي كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغنائك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اغزي عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. الله.
Inshallah, we can get the brothers outside to come inside and participate in the program, please.
برای خوشنود امام زمان بلندترین صلوات. نعره تکبیر، نعره رسالت، نعره حیدری حیدری حیدری. برای خوشنود جناب سید سلام علیه بلندترین صلوات.
That's mine. Yeah. Working. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. تقبل الله أعمالنا وأعمالكم. Carrying on with our topic of an overview of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, we finished off in our last session speaking about the content of Nahj-ul-Balaghah and the primary sources of Nahj-ul-Balaghah. And we said that although Sharif al-Radhi, Zaid al-Radhi, the compiler of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, did a fascinating job in compiling this very valuable book, but it wasn't only him who put effort in bringing together the collection of sermons or letters or sayings of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And this is very important for us to know, because when we want to speak about tonight's topic, which is the authenticity of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, it is necessary for us to stress on the point that this is not something that spontaneously came out of nowhere. And we can see this to be one of the primary objectives that our early ulama had, preserving the heritage of the Shi'i faith. And if you remember, I spoke about the burning of libraries and some of the devastating things that occurred. In addition to that, unfortunately, the persecution, the ongoing persecution against the Shia of Ahlul Bayt in each and every era of that time. So the only sensible thing that needs to be done, that needed to be done, was to preserve this heritage. And that's why our ulama spent a lot of time and effort engaging in this. The question is, when it comes to Nahj-ul-Balaghah, is it all authentic from cover to cover? Now, we use the word from cover to cover because this is a very common expression used in reference to Sahih al-Bukhari. As you know, there are 6 primary hadith compilations in the Sunni world. And there are 4 primary hadith compilations in the Shi'i world. You've got Al-Kafi, Al-Faqih, Man La Yahdaruhu Al-Faqih, Al-Tahdhib, and Al-Istibsar by Sheikh Al-Kulayni, Sheikh Al-Saduq, and Sheikh Al-Tusi. And then you have the Sihah al-Sit, the 6 authentic books, Bukhari, Muslim, Sunan Ibn Dawood, Sunan al-Nasa'i, Musnad, Ibn Hanbal and Ibn Majah, etc., etc. Right? So they say that although we refer to them as as-Sihah as-Sit, but the only one that has the highest level of authenticity, which is Sahih, min al-Jildi ila al-Jild, which means authentic from cover to cover, is Al-Bukhari. And they say that Al-Bukhari is asahhu kitab ba'da kitabillah, the most authentic book after the Holy Quran. Of course, when it comes to our understanding of this, we definitely disagree as far as Usuli Shia belief is concerned, we definitely disagree with this, and we say that the only authentic book that is authentic from cover to cover, that has absolutely no blemish or criticism or addition or anything taken away, is the Holy Quran. Other than that, everything else can be subjected to criticism, critical criticism, not personal criticism. Yani just because you don't like something written in Al-Kafi or in this does not necessarily mean that you have the right to criticize it. When we say criticism here, we're talking about criticism according to the standards and process given, laid out in the methodology presented by our ulama in ilm al-hadith, in dirayatul hadith, in ilm al-rijal. Now, with the issue of al-Bukhari, for us, we find it very difficult to say that everything in al-Bukhari is authentic, especially if there are things that not only bring about many doubts and questions as far as the fundamentals of our religion, like Tawheed, but also there are things that are there that seem to be, if we were to look at them on face value, extremely insulting to the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. And that's why we, of course, need to enter into this topic with critical eyes, making sure that we don't take things purely on the level of its sacredness and qadasa. Everyone loves Nahj-ul-Balaghah, but if someone was to say to you, who is an expert, who is qualified, that I have certain questions in regards to the authenticity of this particular khutbah or parts of this particular khutbah, and he presents his arguments and evidence, and someone else says no, someone else who's an expert says no, I disagree, I think it is as authentic as can be. Let me give an example to be more practical. One of the early sermons that are mentioned is Khutbatul Shaqiyya. And I will be speaking about Khutbatul Shaqiyya because it's a very important khutbah, but it makes a direct reference to the first Khalifa. And of course, the tone that is used by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is a harsh tone. لَقَدْ تَقَمَّصَهَا ibn Abi Qahafa, in reference to Abu Bakr. Taqammasa is in reference to wearing a qamis. Qamis, you know what qamis means? Wearing a qamis that does not fit you. Taqammasa means Abu Bakr is wearing something, yani he's talking about the Khilafah, is wearing something that doesn't even fit him. Okay, a beautiful khutbah speaking about the status of Imam Ali alayhi salam and speaking about the difficulties that he faced and the challenges that he had in regards to the Saqifa of Bani Sa'ida. Okay, some ulama say that no, this is not the style of Imam Ali, and therefore I find it problematic to attribute this khutbah to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Okay, that's your opinion. There shouldn't be for example, qiyamah just because there is one alim who says, for example, something in this particular way, or another alim says that no, it is all like that. There are views attributed to some of our ulama that all of Nahj-ul-Balaghah is authentic. So in reference to the first point, right? In reference to the first point, there are some scholars that say all of Nahj-ul-Balaghah is authentic from cover to cover, similar to Al-Bukhari. This is not the common mainstream view. The second is that none of it is authentic and it's just misconstrued, mixed up information, and it cannot be attributed to Imam Ali. None of our Shia ulama have this view, but there are many Sunni ulama who adopt this opinion. Of course, the major issue and problem is that because Nahj-ul-Balaghah has become so famous, unfortunately, some people do not know that it was not Imam Ali alayhi salam who wrote this book. It was not Imam Ali who wrote this book. They assume that it was written by Imam Ali. Okay, if you have wrong information, that's not my fault, right? Whether they be Shia or whether they be Sunni, and they have this wrong assumption that it was written by Imam Ali, we have to inform them that no, this is a book compiled by a 4th century scholar by the name of Zaid Al Salami. Simple as that. A third view is that in its entirety, it can't be authentic from cover to cover, but as a source of reference, it is definitely a reliable source of reference, where in its in the majority of it, it can be graded as sahih and authentic. So should you want to make reference to Nahj-ul-Balaghah, you should not be worried or concerned that you might be doing something wrong, unless there is something clearly mentioned that goes against the principles of your aqidah as a Shi'i. And I will be mentioning this tomorrow when I speak about the different editions of Nahj-ul-Balaghah. One edition of Nahj-ul-Balaghah what is by the famous Sunni Egyptian scholar who was the Mufti of Egypt by the name of Muhammad Abduh. And Muhammad Abduh, unfortunately, either by mistake or not, some passages of Nahj-ul-Balaghah was censored. I'll be giving the examples in detail tomorrow, inshallah. But we say that because these passages that do exist in that edition are against our aqidah, and therefore we're not going to accept it. So, are parts of it authentic? Definitely parts of it are authentic. Now, how important is it for us to look into the authenticity of absolutely everything in Nahj-ul-Balaghah? We need to always remember that when it comes to the grading of hadith, when it comes to looking at the content and the chain of hadith, there are areas where we can be flexible and lenient, and there are areas where we can never be flexible or lenient. What's an example of never being flexible or lenient? What our ulama go through in matters of fiqh, matters of halal and haram. It's no joke. You can't say, oh, this, oh, maybe, or I'm relying on a da'if, on a weak narration. These are issues to do with my ibadah. These are issues to do with my me either ending up in heaven or in hell. So there's no compromising. And this is where, when it comes to, for example, a hadith, it cannot be graded as sahih. It cannot be graded as authentic if each and every person in the chain of narrators are reliable Ithna Asharis. If they're non-Ithna Asharis, it will not have the same grading. If they are non-Shia, it will not have the same grading. Oh, that's important, isn't it? What about something else that is not fiqhi related? What about something else that is not fiqhi related? Like a dua. Someone says to you, dua kumail, and please don't misunderstand me. Don't say Sheikh Zaid says dua kumail is weak, okay? I'm giving an example. Someone says dua kumail is weak. Okay. But I'm reading the contents. Allahumma inni as'aluka, Allahumma this, Allahumma that. What's the problem? Even if you were to go to that extreme, and this is important, by the way, because there could be some supplications and ad'iyah that we have received attributed to Ahlul Bayt that some might not see it to be 100% authentic. But there is an area of leniency because I am using other words attributed to a ma'soom, whether truly or not, to express my communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What about areas of history? Can we be lenient in areas of history? No. We can't be lenient in areas of history. We have to be very, very strict when it comes to matters of tariq and history, right? Because it's not going to be easy for someone to, for example, rely completely on something and then all of a sudden say that it didn't happen this time, it happened on that time. There are some people who say that, for example, the month of Ramadan is not in this particular time. Or the Mi'raj, right? Sunnis usually celebrate the Mi'raj on the 27th of Rajab. We usually make reference to that, on the, I think there's probably common narration in it being the 17th of Rajab in one of Ramadan. How about the dates of the martyrdoms and the births of some of our Imma alayhum as-salam? Some of them have one date, some of them have two dates. Even with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. One view is that he was born on the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal, and that's even the view taken by Sheikh Al-Kulayni in Al-Kafi, another view, which is the stronger view, is on the 17th of Rabi'ul Awwal. So we have to be strict when it comes to history, but there are certain things, certain areas that carry a less level of significance, especially when it comes to certain things that don't have that level of a severity. It's not like, for example, saying that Ashura of Imam Hussein alayhi salam did not happen in Muharram, it happened in Sha'ban. I'm not going to accept that, right? But Imam As-Sajjad salamullahi alayhi being martyred on the 13th of Muharram or the 25th of Muharram or the 7th of Muharram, this is something that, can be negotiated. Inshallah, everyone's following what it is that I'm trying to say. A last example is akhlaqiyat, ethics and moral conduct, right? Do you need to have that level of strict scrutiny in the ahadith from Ahlul Bayt in regards to matters of akhlaq? The answer is no. For example, you have a hadith that says that al-kidhb, that lying, is this, and that. Okay, good. If you refer back to our akhlaq books that have been written by our ulama, a lot of them make reference to Kanzul Ummal. Has anyone heard this book, Kanzul Ummal? Kanzul Ummal is a Sunni book. It's a Sunni akhlaq book where he compiled the ahadith, the akhlaqi, moral ahadith from the prophets. What's the problem? What's the issue? Right? I'm saying this because when it comes to something like this, in discussing the topic of authenticity, we have to have a broader mind. We have to be more tolerant in expanding our understanding so as to not become too sensational, too defensive, and feel that any kind of critical analysis is, of course, something insulting to the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen, for example, alayhi salam. What are the arguments against the authenticity of Nahj-ul-Balaghah? Again, we don't have any of our Shia ulama who argue against Nahj-ul-Balaghah. Yes, there are some who might question some of the khutbahs. There are some who might reject some of the khutbahs. But as a whole, it is definitely the most revered book after the Holy Quran. The first argument is that there is around about 250 or more years between Sayyid al-Radhi and those who lived during the era of Imam Ali. And Sayyid al-Radhi has not mentioned any of the chains of the narrators of any of these things. How could there be that level of accuracy from a Sayyid al-Radhi, right? When it comes to a 10, 15, for example, page khutbah of Imam Ali. Did this person have computer photo, what do they call it? Photographical, what do they say? Memory? Photo memory, what do they say? Photographic memory, thank you. Is that how it was? That he was able to, memorize every single word with every single harakah, and the words that Imam Ali was using were not normal common words that, usual Arabs said. They were of a high caliber, right? So number two is that they didn't, there are some khutbahs that don't have any trace before a Sharif al-Radhi. Number three is that this is not the custom of Imam Ali to criticize, to curse, to say bad things about the Khulafa. Imam Ali alayhi salam was a peaceful person. He was a caring person. He liked the Khulafa. He didn't have any problem with the Khulafa. He didn't fight against the Khulafa. Why are you Shia saying that Imam Ali said this and Imam Ali said that? This is not the akhlaq of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali says, do not be cursers, do not be swearers. And now you are attributing this to Imam Ali in him cursing and him saying this about Muawiyah and that about so and so, right? Those who were very, very strong in rejecting Nahj-ul-Balaghah are Al-Dhahabi and Ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani. They're famous Sunni ulama. And subhanallah, this is a very, very, very big concern that Sunni ulama have, which is why they have dedicated a lot of work in breaking the sanctity of Nahj-ul-Balaghah. They have a website. There's a website called www.nahjul-balaghah. You have to be careful, my brothers and sisters, when you want to do reading or researching and you come across a site that says Al-Shia or Imam Ali or Nahj-ul-Balaghah, you have to make sure that you know where this is coming from, who is the person behind it, the organization behind it, right? Who would know that this is not something from Wahhabi, Salafi, anti-Shia source? And by the name, it looks Shi'i, doesn't it? When you look at the name, you say, okay, this is a Shi'i website, nahjulbalagha.net. But it isn't. So here they have a lot of material. Most of it is copy-paste, where speaks about there's no chain, and also none of this can be found anywhere else. Here, there is another criticism against Nahj-ul-Balaghah, where it says that Imam Ali, salamullahi alayh, uses in Nahj-ul-Balaghah, there's language used in Nahj-ul-Balaghah that were not, this language was not commonly used among the Arabs at that time. They were foreign words. They were non-Arabic words, and it was that, and they exist in Nahj-ul-Balaghah. And this is proof, this is evidence that Nahj-ul-Balaghah or the khutbahs and letters were not written during the time of Imam Ali. Of course, you all know that even in the Holy Quran, there are studies made of the non-Arabic words that exist in the Holy Quran. And we also know that even during the first century, there were many, many changes that happened with the expansion of the borders of the Muslim world that were very different during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An example for this is that during the time of the Holy Prophet, Greater Persia had not yet been conquered by the Muslims. and then during the time of the second Khalifa, it was. So this is a very weak argument where these terms were not used just because they were not used by others. There are many words that Imam Ali alayhi salam uses in Nahj-ul-Balaghah that you would not see anywhere else. And this theory is given by someone by the name of Mahmoud Shakir. Now, you Shia say that that this is all Nahj-ul-Balaghah written by this and written that. Imam Ali, you can't say that Nahj-ul-Balaghah is authentic because you Shia hate Umar. You Shia don't like Umar, but Imam Ali likes Umar. So this is a catch-22 situation. If you say that Nahj-ul-Balaghah is authentic, then that means Imam Ali likes Umar. If you say that Imam Ali does not like Umar, then you have to reject Nahj-ul-Balaghah, or at least a lot of parts of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, right? This is where in khutbah number 226, Imam Ali alayhi salam apparently praises someone by the name of Fulan. Who knows what Fulan means? Fulan, when in Arabic they say Fulan, what does it mean? Anyone knows? Yeah, so and so, so and so. When you say Fulan, yani so and so, you don't want to mention their name. So here, did in the khutbah, please read the English, by the way, while I'm, am I on the right? Yes. Read the English while I am giving the explanation. Did Imam Ali say Fulan, or did Imam Ali use the name? The famous commentator on Nahj-ul-Balaghah, Ibn Abi al-Hadid, he says, Fulan means Umar ibn al-Khattab. It is Umar that Imam Ali is referring to, praising Umar when he passed away, right? Ibn Abi al-Hadid, who's the most renowned commentator on Nahj-ul-Balaghah, of course, he must have some kind of reference and evidence for this, right? Here we can see that there are many counter arguments against this claim that Fulan is in reference to Umar, because there are earlier references and manuscripts that don't have the name there, but have the name Malik in reference to Malikul Ashtar, Ridwanullah Ta'ala alayh. Another saying is, why are you making such a very, very broad claim that this is in reference to Umar ibn al-Khattab? It could be in reference to another Umar. Umar was a very, very popular, common name. Even one of the children of Imam Ali alayhi salam, his name was Umar, very common. It was a very common name at that time. We have many of our Shi'i companions whose names were Umar and Uthman and even Yazid, right? It was later on that these became very detested names with the evolving of society, which is very, very normal. So this argument, again, has many flaws in it and cannot be accepted. Another person who's very famous in criticizing, please give me another 5 minutes and I'll finish, inshallah. Another person who's very famous in criticizing Nahj-ul-Balaghah, and his criticisms are very poisoned criticisms because it shows an underlying problem that he had, and that was hate for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Ibn Khalakan, where he claims that even Sayyid al-Murtada, right, had an issue with the authenticity of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, right? And it was him that did it, and then it was Sayyid Radhi and all this, fable, fantasy, Bollywood story that this person had compiled. Arguments for authenticity. Number one is scholars of literature, when they analyze poetry or when they analyze a piece of literature, like some poem by a poet or a writing by Shakespeare, one of the things that they are well aware of is the unique style of this poet, the unique style of this writer. And there is a pattern in the style of this person. One of the ways of arguing in favor of the authenticity of most of Nahj-ul-Balaghah is the style of writing that is very, very synchronized. There is a common pattern in the style of writing that you can see in Nahj-ul-Balaghah, and that is evidence that it is all coming from the one author, Imam Ali alayhi salam, right? Another thing is, if there is something that is doubted, one way of proving its authenticity or not is by going back to the style of writing and comparing one with another. Another issue is that in the other writings of Al-Sharif al-Radhi, he makes references to Nahj-ul-Balaghah, which means that it was him that wrote it and not anyone else. And of course, that is a very important way of defining attribution to the author. Now, I would very confidently say that if this was a book called Nahj-ul-Balaghah, written by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, would there be any problems? No problems whatsoever. They would say Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah, they are the founders of theoretical politics. They are the founders of literature and Arabic, and they did this and they did groundbreaking work in Arabic literature and Balagha and things like that. There would be absolutely no problem whatsoever. And that's why I said there is an underlying problem that these scholars, unfortunately pseudo scholars, have, and it is not in the authenticity or non-authenticity of Nahj-ul-Balaghah. It is in who it is attributed to, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and they find this very, very difficult for them to swallow. Very quickly, Sheikh Muhammad Jawad Mughniya, one of the very famous contemporary Lebanese ulama, he says, after extensive research, I do not find any justified doubts in attributing Nahj-ul-Balaghah in its contents to Imam Ali alayhi salam. However, as far as who compiled it, indeed it was Al-Sharif al-Radhi. Ibn Abi al-Hadid, again, the Mu'tazili. A lot of Sunni scholars don't believe that he's Mu'tazili. They believe he is Shi'i because he was a very, very, very fair, unbiased person. He says, a lot of people make false accusations against Nahj-ul-Balaghah, and they say that this is impossible to be attributed, these sermons and things to be attributed to Imam Ali. But then he says, no way, that is this in the quality of the language that exists can be in any way attributed to anyone else other than Imam Ali alayhi salam. The famous Indian scholar Sayyid Wahid Akhtar, he writes, no one among the ulama of who were contemporary to Al-Sharif Al-Radhi, whether Sunni or Shia, for another 200 or 250 years after Sayyid Al-Radhi, cast any doubts on Nahj-ul-Balaghah and its authenticity. Just going to rush. This is another view of another scholar where it says people are of the view that Nahj-ul-Balaghah in its own writing is his own writing, yani the writing of Al-Sharif Al-Radhi. But I heard my teacher, Ibn Taymiyyah. Who's Ibn Taymiyyah? Well, we all know who Ibn Taymiyyah is. But I heard my teacher Ibn Taymiyyah say, Nahj-ul-Balaghah is not the product of a Sayyid Al-Radhi. What is in this book are the utterances of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And whatever is known from in being from Sharif Al-Radhi, Sayyid Al-Radhi, of course, in its commentaries, is known. I wanted to add this as well, and this is a way of encouraging our sisters to also focus on religious studies, right? We have a strong heritage, my sisters, in female ulama who were narrators. And one example of this is one of the primary narrators of Nahj-ul-Balaghah was the niece of Sayyid Al-Radhi, the daughter of Alam al-Huda, Sayyid Al-Murtada. That's very, very important as well. And finally, when it came to the criticism of saying that Imam Ali was very good, very peaceful, very, fine and cool with the Sahaba and with the Khulafa, he had no problem, right? He would, visit them and they would visit him and everything else, right? And you Shia are accusing and attacking the Sahaba, and Imam Ali would never do that. Okay. The Prophet did it. The Prophet did it. The Prophet said, you don't know what these companions are going to do after me. They are going to wreak havoc. They're going to create chaos in the Muslim Ummah. And this is this hadith from Sahih Bukhari, from the most trustworthy person on earth, Abu Hurairah, where he says that the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that my people from my ummah will come to me on Judgment Day, right? And I'm going to say, where are my companions? Ashabi, Ashabi, where are my companions? And they're going to say, wait a second, these are your companions. And then the Holy Prophet will reply, Innaka la ta'lam. The Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi is going to say to Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to say back, Innaka la ta'lam. You don't know what these people have done after you, right? إنهم ارتدوا على أدبارهم القهقري. Irtidad basically means leaving Islam. Is that worse than what exists in Nahj-ul-Balaghah in reference to the Sahaba? This is definitely more harsh and exists in Al-Bukhari. So if you have a problem with what is in Nahj-ul-Balaghah, then how are you going to solve these narrations that speak and criticize very aggressively against the companions? وغفر الله لنا ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Inshallah, tomorrow I will be speaking about some examples, and then I will be speaking about the translations, the commentaries, the manuscripts, and the editions of Nahj-ul-Balaghah, inshallah. Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, yeah, Sheikh, I have got a question about sermons of Imam Ali. So, Nahj-ul-Balaghah is only one of the book which contains the sermons and letters of Imam Ali. But Imam Ali has given many sermons
Ahsant.
and many khutbahs which are not recorded in Nahj-ul-Balaghah.
That's right.
So my question is that what are other books of other sermons of Imam Ali which are written in English or Arabic, and are they available on internet for our youth to look at it, because they are also very good piece of information and a treasure for us.
Ahsantum, thank you. If you refer back to session 2 and session 3, I spoke in detail about the compilations and the books before Al-Sharif Al-Radhi and after Al-Sharif Al-Radhi that mention the sermons and letters and wise sayings of Imam Ali. For example, Al-Ghurar al-Hikam has 10,000 wise sayings of Imam Ali, which was written by Al-Amidi after Al-Sayyid Al-Radhi. And alhamdulillah, as I mentioned, I think that was in session 3, that this has been translated into English, and you can see it's a beautiful hadith compilation that is really, really inspiring. I also gave details of, although there are only 200 and something khutbahs in Nahj-ul-Balaghah, right? But there are over 400 narrated khutbahs of Imam Ali that can be traced in other parallel books that are also very, very important. If no one else has any questions, inshallah, we will finish off with ziyara. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. وتوجه زيارة.
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل عباس، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس، السلام عليك يا عنيس النفوس، السلام عليك يا مدفونا بأرض طوس السلطان العربي والعجم وأسيران كوفة الشام ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العسر والضمان العمان العمان العمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
अज्जल फरजहुम। हजरत मोमिन 7:30 यानी 7:30 पे कल भी रोज़ की तरह प्रोग्राम का आगाज़ हो जाएगा। 7:30 के ऊपर तिलावत कुरान पाक, जिसमें आप लोग हिस्सा लीजिए, बच्चों को लेकर आइए। कुरान खानी का सिलसिला और उसके फ़ौरन बाद ही नमाज-ए-मग़रिबैन, उसके बाद फिर इफ्तार का अहतमाम। इफ्तार के बाद आमाल-ए-रमज़ान और उसके अमाल के बाद फ़ौरन स्पीच होगी। तो आप लोगों से गुजारिश है शिरकत फरमाएँ। 7:30 पे एग्जैक्ट प्रोग्राम शुरू कर दिया जाएगा। शुक्रिया।